Speaker Baroness Bennett of Manor Castle.
My Lords, it's a great pleasure to follow the noble Baroness Lady Finlay in the Noble Lords Wheatley and Hayne. And I agree with much of what they've said. And I think the noble Baroness was particularly clear in setting out the issues that arise with this group. I speak specifically to Amendments 119 and 126, to both of which I've attached my name, in the name of the noble Lady Baroness Hayter of Kentish Town, whom I thank for originating them. They share the purpose of many amendments in this group to ensure that the devolved nations have a voice in the operation of the internal market, the market that will govern much of what they can regulate, what protections they can provide to their peoples, as we were discussing last week in the group of amendments starting 15. As the noble Baroness Lady Hayter has not yet spoken, I'll briefly address the detail. 119 is, in my interpretation, something of a backup to 118. 118 would ensure that the government has to obtain the consent of devolved administrations before appointing the chair and members of the CMA's Office of the Internal Market panel. 119 says seek consent. I prefer 118, but I think it's important at this stage that we have a range of amendments to offer to the government. 126 refers to the membership of the OIM panel, specifically saying that you should include representatives from each of the 4 nations in the United Kingdom. The purpose of these 2 amendments, as in so many amendments in this group, is to ensure, to adapt the phrase, that there's no regulation or deregulation without representation or democracy. In briefly making the case for these amendments, I want to go back to the first group of amendments debated today, which your Lordship's House will recall related to professional qualifications. And I want to quote what the noble Lord the Minister, then Lord Callanan, said in that debate. I quote, "The world of artificial intelligence, of gene editing, there are a massive range of new potential professional areas, bodies, qualifications that may come forward. In the case of new professions, it is entirely possible that the nations of the UK might seek to regulate them differently, and we want no new barriers to trade to emerge," end quote. I think in that one short statement, the noble Lord the Minister managed to sum up the disturbing government intentions to centralise in Westminster decision-making in extremely important areas of public policy, in areas currently devolved, and the objections that many have to this bill, particularly those concerned with defending devolution settlements, and to make the case for these amendments. Whatever the protections the still relatively new institutions in the nations have been able to create for their people will stay in place, but they will not be able to react to social, economic or technological changes or strengthen existing protections. If we go back to the single-use plastics example that was discussed extensively under Amendment 15, if the Welsh Government wants to provide extra protections for its people and environment from these deeply damaging goods, it can rush to get measures under the wire now before the internal market replaces the single one. But after that, and I can't think of better examples than those provided by the noble Lord Callanan, gene editing and artificial intelligence, where different views on regulation might be applied by devolved administrations in their areas of devolved competence, from agriculture to education, food safety to transport. My Lords, we need to ensure that the devolved administrations can keep control. Thank you, my Lords.